It's a great short story about a man who wanted wisdom, and he was told there was this great master who lived on this high cliff, and so it took him 10 years to get there. And he said, I want your wisdom. And the man said, there's only love. So the guy went and, he thought he got it. And so he wanted higher wisdom. So he found out the guru moved to a higher mountain. Took him 20 years, lost his arm on the way, really pretty treacherous journey. Was sick a lot. But he finally crawled to his great wisdom master and said, I'm ready for the ultimate truth. And the guru said, all there is love. And he said, are you kidding me? I just spent 20 years and I lost my arm and you're telling me the same thing you told me 20 years ago? And the master said, truth don't change. The good side of the ego is if you want to go down 60 feet in the water, you better have the gear on. Well, we're 60 feet down in the water, and the ego lets us survive here. And it can serve us, but right now, as I said, it is the tail wagging the dog, only because we won't allow and accept it. Just like, think of this pen. Whenever you go, okay, I could accept a pen, but to accept that about myself, that I did that to her, that I said that to them, yeah, it's a pen, it's a pen. And of course, there's feelings. I'm not saying that it's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and you're on the other side. But the biggest transformation you can make in your life is to just move that identity over here and stop the fight. And when you see the fight, though, I'm fighting again. Now, I have a pattern. It's getting less and less. I'll share with you. And that is when I do something that I think is really top drawer. It's really, really, I'm so glad and so proud I was able to do it. I can know that one of my little octopus's legs is out to get me, called, oh, you think you're so great? And I will create somebody to say something that will just demoralize me. And that's pattern. It's a cutie. It's a cutie. And you know, it happened one day, and it took almost 2 days for it to happen. And when it happened, I try to make fun with the ego, and I said, holy cow, what took you so long? And I'm still feeling devastated, but I'm using humor, I'm using even smiles. If you think of all happy faces in your cheeks and in your organs, that's a yes to them. They flourish. That breath, that other thing about the breath, when you breathe up here, what happens is the air is still too hot, and it goes to your organs and it starts to putrefy them too quickly. When it goes to what they call the breath of the mother, it cools down, and it's the right temperature for them to enter your body. So the breath is really important. The breath is really a big way to this side. Yes. Now, what tools can I use to get over here? The first tool is to recognize it was learned. It was put in you like a program. And your parents had the same program put in, and that's been going on for a long, long time. Some people say, now I'm going to use the word Christ, but I'm not using it necessarily for like representing Jesus the Christ. I would never represent him. But the word Christ means a state of self-love. And so we all have that state. So you all have your Christ. And some people say, this is your Christ, and this is your Antichrist. And this is the game you chose to play to remember who you are. And it's a tough game. It's a tough game. I'm sorry, I think she had her hand up first.
I worked for Dr. King in Chicago when he was in Chicago. And when we would be on the marches, I was really scared because people would throw things at us and hurt us. And in the middle of that, he would make us sit down, literally on the ground, and all of us to send love out, to pray and to send love to all of them. And I was angry, and I was thinking dirty words, and I wanted bad things to happen. And he would just remind us in that space over and over again that we were there to send love and compassion.
He took you over here.
Exactly.
It takes a lot of people to make a trainer. It takes a lot of participants to make a good trainer. And there are times when I'm sitting there, and there are times you'll be up here and I'll be sitting there, because really there is nobody out there but you. And when you fall in love and stop resisting you, you cannot help but love everyone you meet. And you see their ego and you allow it. If they're judging you, it's a pattern, it's an ego. Freedom is this transformation. This is called the 7 breaths, or the breath of compassion. Now, remember I said breathing down here makes the air the perfect temperature, and it makes your body go, I'm considered. I'm being considered. I'm being allowed what will feed and nourish me. So there's a respect that starts. It also is an access for spirit to come in. That conscious breath allows that love of who you are to come in more and more. So as I said, these little coherencies start to open up and open up and open up. And even the ego, after a long time, even the ego starts to relax. But please, there's one thing that people do. Well, let me fix my ego. I wouldn't go there, because that's a setup from the ego. Just allow it and accept it. Learn all your patterns. Learn all your patterns. I give them names, and I draw pictures of them so I can be more dissociated and recognize them instead of having that hook in my mouth so quickly. Yes, people are not their behaviors, but they'll go to war to keep them. And do. And I don't mean just the military war, I mean our war. But because we over-identify with the furniture. We forget we're the room of light. And that we can go, I like that piece, but get that one out of here. I like that piece, but get that one over there. Yeah, the hooks. It's kind of like the yin yang, the dark spot. Every time you have a difficulty over here, the end result is you become a greater light. It's kind of like if you could imagine I'm hiding all my darkness consciously and unconsciously, and I meet you, and you're hiding all your closet door of darkness. And so this is how we have to relate to each other. Yeah. No. It kind of limits and restricts it.
But again, that was very cute.
Very cute.
And it's you know, it's really a burden too. But that's really literally what we do. I used to tell people who wanted to hold on to one of these, well, here's your boulder. Keep it until you want to, just allow it to be all right. And it didn't take long. But let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, the reframing. Reframing is one of my favorite things because you can do everything in it. It's like its own its own world. Every time I use one of these, you know, what's the behavior, and to find the intent, I always land over here. The person always touches a place in them of that pure love, that the part loves them, cares about them, cherishes them, wants to protect them, wants them to be happy. And so I love reframing. It's such a great technique. And forgiveness, the power. These are powers. They're not just, oh, isn't that pretty? She's happy. Isn't that great? That guy has peace. These are real powers. I tell people, you want a challenge in life? Be happy no matter what. These are powers. And another power is forgiveness. Every time you forgive, you gain back part of your dignity. So, 7 breaths. First, I'll just explain how I want you to breathe, if you will, and then I'll put what you're doing while you're breathing. So you'll be comfortable, more or less have your back fairly straight, but, you know, shoulders relaxed. And I really would like you, even though you have to breathe through your nose, I want you to imagine that the breath is coming into your heart. So you're breathing with your nose, But imagine the breath is coming into your heart, and it's going like right through your spine, down into your lower belly, and then you'll just breathe out again from your nose. Just let the air fall out. But again, imagine it's coming out from your heart. You got that part? And some of you might have a hard time breathing to your belly, so feel free to use your muscles at first to get that breath down there. So now what I'd like you to think of is making some kind of a little container. It can be very utilitarian or very fancy, but a little tiny box or container, and place that gently inside the lower belly into the area of the water breath. They call it the place of the mother, the water, the ocean. So that's going to be your little box, little magic box. All right, and what I'd like you to do now is to imagine right here between your eyebrows to look out. Now put your hand there and your hand on your heart, and then make a pyramid, and this will be the point. Just have your hands go out until they meet. And that's about where I'd like your focus to be at that point when you're breathing out. All righty? You can relax your hands. And what I'd like you to see in that little point is a golden pyramid, kind of all lit up like it's a liquid. And you're right in the center of it. And just picture the symbol of a Buddha. But the Buddha's you, and you're right there, just kind of hanging out. Okay, so the breath in, you're going to focus on putting something in that little box. And the breath out, you're going to go looking at that pyramid with you, Buddha, inside of it. So that's the technical part. Now, what we use this technique for is anything that disturbs you, that you're displeased with yourself or someone else, you know, a judgment. I'm having difficulty with this person or that person. I don't like that. I don't feel good today. I don't like my bank account. Whatever it is. And what I'd like you to do is to take that thought. I'll use, for an example, I'm really angry at myself. And I want you to allow yourself to feel it. And to keep in mind that that's from your conditioning, and we're recognizing that that's not who I really am, and this technique is to get you back to you. So, in order to do that, you need to not dissociate in this exercise. You have to let yourself, allow yourself to feel warmth, the anger. And as you breathe into your heart, the anger goes down and into the box. And when you breathe out, I'd like you to say this and only this using your name, and if it's somebody else that you're working on, use their name and your name. When you breathe out and focus on that little pyramid, you say, I am so happy with you, Lynn. I am so pleased with you, Lynn. And we're going to do the same thing 7 times. It takes 7 breaths for the blood to circulate completely through the body. And we're using certain states of consciousness in this exercise, but for right now, I'll keep it really, really simple. Do you have any questions about the technical part of it? Now, the important thing is that when you feel the anger, you feel the anger. On the way up, on the elevator up, you really feel, I am so pleased with you, Richard. I am so happy with you, Richard. You really allow yourself to feel that to the extent of your experiences, with the passion, all the passion that you can muster. You may have never said this to yourself, by the way. I am so happy with you, Patricia. I'm so pleased with you, Patricia. And you do that 7 times. You let go of that, go back to put it in the box, And exhale to the pyramid. I'm so happy with you, Lynn. I'm so pleased with you, Lynn. Breathe in, put it in the box. And you do that 7 times. Do you understand how to do it? Okay. And at the end, just think of something that makes you happy. Okay? So start on your own, because you'll all have a different intake breath and external breath. But think of something that just is a nuisance or a challenge or a difficulty or makes you uncomfortable. Doesn't have to be the worst thing that ever happened to you in your life. And then start. Have it go through the center of your spine, into the lower belly, into the box, the grump. And then I am breathing out the exhale. I am so happy with you. I am so pleased with you as the breath comes out of your heart. And if you're finished, just think of something that makes you happy. And for those of you who have finished, if you would go back to that original thought that was uncomfortable, see how it's different or not. See how it's different or not. So, would anyone like to tell me what happened when they checked in to the original discomfort, if it was different or the same?
I think the big shift, letting go of the anger about the behavior, then led to a shifting into loving the connection. One aspect of it was wanting to read everything in the internet about everybody. You know, that was this addiction I had to information.
Uh-huh.
And then seeing that actually that came out of love for all these people, even Donald Trump or whatever it is that I'm fascinated by. And then, wow, you know, I can actually love all those. I don't have to read about everybody, you know. So there's an expansion of the self in a sense.
That's great. That's great. And sometimes you have to do maybe 8 or 9 breaths. But somewhere along the 7 breaths, you start to feel a shift. Like you go down into the box and you might forget exactly what you were putting in there, or it might get gotten confused, or you might be putting, I'm happy with you down there. And that is great because it indicates a shift is happening. Yes, this technique really, really works. It's like the goose that laid the golden egg. It can change anything. And what you're using that I don't have time to tell you, you're using parts of your body that have a consciousness that's been waiting to be used that can help you. And I'm so appreciative that you came to listen to me and that you allowed yourself to let me in. No one can ever do anything greater than to give you themselves in a moment, their attention and their time. And I'm very grateful and I feel very humble. I'm very appreciative. Thank you. Thank you.